Hey everyone, my name is Scott Adamson, and today I'm going to be showing you my second van, which is almost finished, not quite. Alright, so this is my 2019 144 Sprinter van. You might be familiar with my old van, which was a 170. I actually recently sold that van, and over the past 2 years I've been working on the 144. After spending almost 5 years full-time in the 170, I just really learned how I use the space and that I could go down to the 144, being the only person in the van with just my dog Ellie, and it just made sense for me, and it's a little bit more maneuverable. All right, so now we're gonna talk about some of the things that I've done inside this van and some of the design choices I've made that are different from the 170 and some of the unique things that I'm doing inside the 144. For me, the van, like I originally got into this whole lifestyle primarily because I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is, for those of you who don't know, like the exact middle of Canada. We actually have a sign just over there that claims that. And a lot of the things that I like to do, like snowboarding and mountain biking and skiing and surfing, I just couldn't do them here. And that was kind of the whole goal with the van, was to just enable me to spend more time doing the things that I really enjoy doing. So in this van, I decided to really make insulation and heat a priority. So I actually decided to go with the Van Life Tech in-floor radiant heating system. So the way it works, just quick high level, is it actually has a glycol loop that's running, so PEX tubing that's run everywhere inside the floor. And then there's a S-bar hydronic heater that actually heats that glycol. So different than the standard like D2 Airtronic heater that most people put in the vans, it just heats the air. This one's actually heating the glycol in the floor, so the whole floor is heated, and that transfers heat into all the cabinetries and everything inside the van. You'll also see right here, this is a little, I guess you'd call it kind of like a little radiator unit or fan coil. So there's the glycol runs through this, and there's little computer fans on the back that blow hot air off that as well. So most of the heat comes from the floor. The other thing that system does is it also gives you instant hot water because it ties into your hot water. So you have unlimited instant hot water using Troy's system. So that's kind of the first thing, and the biggest change in this van was going with the Van Life Tech system. Jumping into the front of the vehicle, a lot of people ask me, when I tell them going from a 170 down to the 144, it's almost 4 feet shorter, which sounds like a ton. But in reality, it's just how you use the space. When I was in the 170, this area that I'm in right now, I basically would curtain it off and I wouldn't use any of the front of the van. But now with the 144s, you have to treat this space as usable space, and you kind of gain that 4 feet again. So from the factory, I went with the swivel seats. So both of these seats are going to swivel. This is the Lagoon table. So this gives you kind of 2 seating areas right here. And this is my bed, which is a futon style. So by using this space and not just kind of walling it off whenever I'm inside the van, it really does kind of make up for the space I'm losing in the back. But during the day, I'll just put the window covers on the driver and passenger and the windshield cover. I will take this opportunity to kind of plug our company. We did start our own van accessory business, and one of the products that we do make is insulated blackout window covers for the Sprinter vans, and we're going to be launching them for the Transits and the ProMasters. So the company is The Wanderful Soft Goods, so you can check out our website. And we've got some other cool stuff coming, but that's kind of all I really need to touch on in the front of the van. The next kind of unique thing in this van is, in my last van, and we'll probably insert some pictures, you'll see that I did what a lot of people refer to as the convertible bed. So during the day, it's almost like a dinette with 2 benches on either side, and it's got the middle table that goes up and down. So when it's down, it's the bed, and when it's up, it is the obviously the kitchen sort of eating work area. So on this build, this will be a futon during the day, so nice big couch. I think it's just over 6 feet long. I'm using car door locks. So it's got a mechanism so you unlock it and then this will slide out. Another couple upgrades I'm doing in this van is I've upgraded to lithium batteries from AGM. I'm using the Battleborn 100 amp hour batteries, 3 of them for 300 amp hours. The other thing when it comes to electrical is I am using a bunch of the RedArc components. With this unit, which is called the Red Vision by RedArc, it allows me to, my tank monitoring's in there. I can turn my inverter on and off. I can do temperature sensors. That gets paired with the Red Vision, they call it their TVMS, which is their Total Vehicle Management System, which is this box here. So this is kind of the brains of everything. So your 30 amp loads plug in here. You've got 10 controllable. Your 10 amp loads plug in here. And then you've got 6 spots for different water tanks. I'm going to only be using 2 of those. You've got 2 spots for temperature sensors. And then you also have some digital inputs. And those are things where if you want stuff that's only controlled when the vehicle ignition is on or off, you can trigger them that way. Now that we're in the rear of the van, on the driver's side, this is kind of the galley side, my kitchen side. So kind of the main differences in here on my last build is, it's not in right now, but this is the hole where a single burner induction cooktop will go. I had the double in my last van. I just never used both of them for the kind of food that I eat, so I just went with the single. Takes up a little less room. I've got these kind of outlets in the counter, which I think is just a nice kind of slick touch. Hides them out of the way. I went with in my last van, I filtered all of my water to a drinking level just because it was just easier to plumb it that way, where my water filtration was. But in this van, I decided to go with the Acuva 12 volt UV water filter. On my last van, I had a black water toilet, like a Dometic flush toilet, like a fully plumbed toilet with a black water. On this van, for space, I love that toilet, but with space, not an option. So one of the sacrifices I had to make is I'm using a cassette toilet, and it'll pull out on this. And the toilet will be facing that way, so you'll basically sit here, use the toilet, it'll push back in. There will be a door on here, it's just not on right now. But that's kind of one of the sacrifices I've made from going from the 170 down to the 144. Moving over to I call it the wardrobe side, but the passenger side of the vehicle, this is where most of my storage is on this van. I have these large bins here on the driver's side. Most of the storage is on this side. So these 2 uppers are just massive. It's one cavity, and it's just a massive cavity for storage up here. I don't know exactly how I'm going to use it yet, but lots of storage up there. Then below that, I've got 3 drawers. Again, these aren't being used for anything, but again, these will just be storage. So 1, 2, 3 big drawers here. This one you can see has an outlet in it as well, so I'll probably put camera gear in this one so I can charge them. Then below that, this will be my slide out fridge. I'm going with a Dometic cooler style fridge. I think it's the CX70 is the model. I'm not 100% sure, but there will be a face on this like that matches this. This will pull out and you'll have the cooler style fridge, and then pushes back in. Be all nice and neat. One thing, if you are doing this style of fridge, make sure you account for what is it sliding into because I did make this too low and it was going to hit my cushions that were on the bed, so I had to reconfigure things a bit. Then underneath that, this is my freshwater tank. It's by Northwest Conversions, and it's their over wheel well tank. I think this one is 32 gallons of fresh water. So this is my freshwater tank. The gray water tank is located underneath the vehicle. And like I said, because I'm doing a cassette toilet on this van, I don't have a black water tank. Moving back here, this is my water cabinet. So inside here, you'll see I have 2 pumps. The first pump is call that the domestic water pump. So that one will power basically the faucet, the sink, and that water goes through a single stage sediment filter, and then it comes over to this side of the van, comes out the faucet, and the drinking water goes through the 12-volt Accuva filter. Then all of this other stuff in here, this is because on this van I'm trying to do a recirculating shower system. So this secondary pump here is actually for the recirculating shower, and that will allow me to basically have an unlimited shower on roughly 2 gallons of water. Some people, on my van, I'm not saving that 2 gallons, so every shower will be just 2 gallons and you'll dump that into the gray water tank. Some people do the system where they keep that water and they'll use it over and over, but I just wanted to be able to have a longer shower without wasting water. So 2 gallons, unlimited shower. This is the little combiner valve for the shower here. This is the switch for the recirculating shower. And then the shower head will come out of here. So kind of the first thing that, looking at the side here, I haven't done it yet, but I will be actually taking off these plastic pieces and spraying them with what's called Raptor liner, or truck bed liner is what most people are familiar with. What happens is on a lot of these vans is water runs down the top and it actually gets inside of here. So to avoid that, I'm going to be sort of sealing this off and then covering this whole area with truck bed liner to hopefully avoid that from happening. You'll see here on the front edge, it's not finished yet, but I have a air chuck. I've gone with a Viair compressor, and I also have a 2-gallon tank. So I've got an air chuck here on the front, and there's another one on the rear, which we'll show you when we get back there. Moving over to the driver's side of the vehicle, I did install a sliding door window and this crew window here. And then I also have windows in the rear. I like having windows. Some people don't for privacy. I like the natural light that comes in from them. I'm going to be installing the, from Flatline Van Company, I'm doing their Safari rack sitting over there. So on the Safari rack from Flatline, I'm also going to be putting a cargo box, my solar panels, room for my surfboards. I don't hear a lot of people talking about this, but on my last van I had a side ladder which was mounted just in front of the rear tire. And what would happen on gravel roads is as vehicles would pass you and kick stones up, those stones would actually come and they'd hit the ladder and they'd redirect into the vehicle, and I would get lots of stone chips underneath my ladder, which I always had to be touching up. So be aware of that if you're doing a side ladder. Some people I've seen put that clear protective film underneath the ladder to stop the stone chips, but I'd never thought about that. So on this van, that's why I'm putting the ladder on the rear. So it's something I don't have to worry about is stone chips. It's just nothing on the sides of the vehicle. And that's kind of rounds out the exterior of the van. I don't know if there's anything else too exciting I'm going to be doing out here.